Hello everyone. I hope you're doing well in these struggling, strange, hard times at the moment. I myself are located in Germany right now and we're facing another lockdown. So I thought this is the perfect opportunity to do another review for you. It's now 3 weeks that I own the original ZCam Turbo Mount and I just tested it a couple of times but could not find the time to do a dedicated shoot with it yet. The turbo mount is a focal reducer such as the Mattbox speed booster or the Viltrox speed booster, and it helps you to gain another stop of light for your lenses and will also give you a wider field of view. The turbo mount is a 0.71 focal reducer, similar to the Viltrox and the Mattbox speed booster, and it comes at around $250–300. I use the turbo mount right now on my ZCam S6. So after doing some calculations and doing all the maths, this one gives me almost the field of view of a full frame camera. So I have a crop factor of 1.1. Many people in the first place were complaining about this turbo mount since they were using it with the Sigma 18 to 35mm lens. Unfortunately, I don't own this lens, so I cannot do a full review about it. But I used a turbo mount with some other glass, which you might find interesting as well. The first lens is the Exakta 24mm f2.8, and this video right now is also shot on this lens in combination with the ZCam Turbo Mount, so it gives me a really wide field of view and also this nice depth of field with the wide shot. The second lens I use is the Super Takuma 35mm f2 lens, which gives me a slightly wider field of view than a 50mm lens, but still gives this nice and soft bokeh. This lens is quite rare, but you will find it on eBay for around $300, and I think it's definitely worth getting one of these old vintage lenses since it has an own character and will give your shots a pleasing and creamy look. The last lens is probably mostly known along analog shooters and also indie filmmakers. It is the Helios 44-2, and I rehoused this lens on my own, and I think this has just this really nice swirly bokeh, and for some shoots I use it to give it just its own characteristics. Regarding the flaring with the turbo mount, I have to admit that for most cases I use Mattboxes. I own the Tilta Mini Mattbox and the SmallRig Ultra Light Mattbox, and they are doing great jobs in blocking side flares and sunlights and sunrays hitting the lens in weird or strange angles. Though I really have to admit that with the turbo mount, I have yet not ran into strange flaring with the turbo mount, so some people were complaining about having less contrast, but for myself I was always getting pleasing results with the turbo mount. Gaining one stop of extra light really comes in handy when shooting in dark environments or moody scenes, so you can almost shoot your lens wide open. But I would not always recommend shooting that wide open, as you lose some of the contrast in your images and they are less sharp. So mostly step 1 or 2 steps down, but you still have advantage of gaining one extra stop of light with the turbo mount. Unfortunately, I cannot recommend using the ZCam Turbo Mount with the 18 to 35mm lens and some of the other EF mount lenses, as they only cover Super 35 image circle or APS-C format. But though it's a pretty handy tool when you have a lot of old vintage glasses at home and you still want to make use of them and get a wider field of view and shallower depth of field, such as I do right now. Even with this 24mm Exakta lens on my turbo mount, I rarely have any vignetting. Even if I shoot in open gate, you can slightly see in the corners some vignetting, but when shooting in Cinema 4K or 4K, 6K or Cinema 6K, you can't see any vignetting. I hope you really liked this review and you could draw some conclusions for yourself. If you have any questions, leave some comments below. If you did not yet, please hit the subscribe button and see you next time. Bye.